Alright, so this is not a Gamers Lounge video. This is actually just a random commentary, which will go under the playlist called My Commentary. I have those same playlists on the other two channels that I do, and it'll be even more useful here. It's just kinda whenever the video or the commentary is about something random. And yeah, for Gamers Lounge, I still need a cool intro like I have for Barbershop Talk, so it feels like its own thing. Anyways, I'm just trying to get going over here, so I'm not holding any videos back until I've made everything perfect and all that. I'm just getting it going. Anyways, if you think back to the channel trailer that I did, you can still go see it. It's still up. I said that sometimes this channel would just have random commentaries. I have a lot of thoughts that aren't about basketball, so that's part of the reason I made this channel. And sometimes I just like to kick back over gameplay and shoot shits about different topics. And today, one that has came up for different reasons, but it's something that I've always thought about, is the term, money can't buy happiness. Money is not everything. And I want to know what you all think about that in the comment section. I asked the question on Instagram on my story, put it out there, got some different responses. So at the end of this video, which I will actually do with a lot of my commentaries probably, at the very end or the tail end, I'll read some of the responses that I got because some of them are funny and it just adds more to the conversation than just my own perspective. So anyways, that is a term that I've thought about a lot of my life, but it's something that comes to the forefront now more than ever because I'm a young adult. I'm learning more about money, learning more about how the world works with money. Just a lot of things once you get out there and you're not in school anymore that you kind of see for yourself and it makes you think. And on the count of money not being everything, money not being able to buy happiness, you know, I think a couple of things. I think it depends on the person, depends on the situation, but I definitely think that's a term that should be used in moderation. And I think it's a term that nobody should make themselves comfortable with. Nobody should look at their situation and be struggling or be suffering through life and just say, oh, well, money's not everything. You know why? Because I think there's certain situations where that's true. Like, let's say, okay, they're kind of different things, so money can't buy happiness. Let's go with that. That's true to an extent. If you're grieving because of loss, whether it's a family member or a friend, I'm 100%, I agree with that. I don't think a lot of people could just be grieving and then go buy something and everything's better now. Yeah, so-and-so is gone, but I got this. Of course, I could see that. And then people who have mental health issues, that's a thing. That is a big thing in the world that now these days more than ever is being talked about. People's mental health issues. Yeah, in that situation, sure, money can probably not buy happiness. But you see, those are like a couple of isolated situations. There's been times in my life where I've had to kind of sit around and look at the different issues that were going on. And I was just like, you know, I can't think of one problem in my life that money wouldn't fix right now. And that was precisely the moment I'm like, okay, these terms, they have truth to them, but I'm never going to be comfortable with these. I'm never just going to rest on them when things aren't going right in my life. Because then I feel like I'm being unrealistic with myself and I'm being complacent in a situation where money literally affects and dictates so much of your life, even if it's disgusting, right? Even if we hate it. We hate living in a society where people wind up becoming slaves to the dollar, which I will get to that later in the commentary. But just think about it. It affects what you can do, where you can go, where you can live. It affects the most important aspect of your life, which is time. Time is the one thing in life that we never get back. And money literally dictates at least 90% of that concept, that time as a concept. And that's how people wind up trapped. So everybody has a different starting point in life. Some people are born middle class, you could be born poor, could be born rich. There's many different starting points. But you look at what's going on right now and most people end up trapped as they get into their adult life for one reason or another. If they're not born rich, a lot of people end up trapped. And some of it is the starting point. Some of it is never really being educated about money. And so there becomes this mentality that, well, basically what school teaches you. School teaches you that you got to go there, you got to go to college, and you got to go to college for something that you're going to be comfortable doing pretty much until you retire. And that thing that you do every day is going to support you, is going to support your family. And so what happens to people like in my generation, like what's going on right now where for one reason or another, college degrees are having less and less of an effect. It's getting harder to find jobs. And so now you go out into the world and a lot of people get trapped doing something that they don't want to do, but it's out of necessity, especially with college because most people who go there are going to accumulate debt. So that debt hits, you're a college graduate, and whether you're able to do what you want to do or not, you got to get out there and start paying that back or else that's going to mess with your credit. So that's just one example, but you can already see right there, money is totally controlling your time. Because to avoid a disastrous situation, you're already out there doing whatever you have to do. And this kind of goes to what my dad always says. He always says that the world is not black and white. Race is a factor in the world and all that, but he says that it's a world of have and have nots. And as someone who I would consider myself, I was middle class when I went to college, and I actually went to a rich college where all the kids, they had pretty much, not all the kids, but most of the kids there had it made already. I could see that up front. So I go to college, and me personally, when I first went there, I'm broke. I don't have money of my own. My family was in a decent situation, but there was an understanding that, hey, you know, I'm not going to be able to live off of them. They're not going to be able to just support me forever, and nor would I want that anyway. So I went to college with the understanding that I have to carry myself a certain way or shit's going to hit the fan later on in life. But there were so many people who were in the have section who already had it made that they were able to just do whatever they wanted with their time. Like, they're in college, but it's like, it was basically like being at like a hotel or a resort. That's the type of place I was at. As a matter of fact, do you want to know the type of place I was at? So this happened early on. This is like my sophomore year in college. And there was this kid who, he had a nice car. I can't remember exactly what car he came to school with, but his parents had to discipline him for one reason or another. I can't remember what it was. So to discipline him, they took away that nice luxury car that he had, and instead they gave him a nice Jeep to drive around. That was his punishment. His punishment was driving around a nice Jeep instead of his nice luxury car. That's the type of college I went to. As a matter of fact, no. My roommate for a half of my sophomore year, when we got there and we were meeting each other, we were having conversations or whatnot, and he was telling me how, like, oh, I couldn't even get my Lexus until my senior year of high school. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I kind of spent high school plotting on how I was going to buy my own car, but this is good information. And I don't want to say like they were just like all terrible people or snooty people or anything like that. I'm just showing you what kind of world they came from. This is the type of world I experienced when I was there. This is kind of how I really got thinking about money and have nots and what you can do with your time and all of that. It really it gave me that perspective of that side of the fence. And so now I'm out of college, and I couldn't be happier as a 23-year-old who just graduated a year ago. I couldn't be happier with my financial situation because I've been blessed enough to be able to work at something for a good amount of years now. I really started YouTube in 2013, but I've been able to work and build a situation where I'm able to create or at least dictate multiple streams of income. And for those of you out there who are wondering what you're going to do after high school, what you're going to do after college, you know, I can't help everybody. I can't speak for everybody, but I can at least say that whatever you're going to do, make sure that part of your financial focus is on how you can create your own streams of income, because that lessens your chances of getting trapped. And I'm not even talking about like what I do. This is just one thing that I do. You know, there's YouTube, there's other people out there getting their money on different forms of social media and all that. People invest in stocks, people do all types of things. So whatever it is that you choose to do, creating your own streams is where it's at. Because the thing is, most schools, maybe I've been out of high school 6 years, so maybe it's changed, but most school systems are not preparing you guys for the things you're actually going to face when you get on your own. When I was in school, there was very little focus on finances. Somebody teaching you how to do your taxes, somebody teaching you how to take out a loan or when to take out a loan. All that is stuff I had to go out and search for. I had to seek that. And so one thing I'll give you an example of is college debt. College debt, I think that high schoolers, specifically high schoolers, they deserve to have a crash course on how that works, because I didn't really find out how college debt works until I got out of college. Before that, I feel like every point up until then, it was basically just a joke. Like in high school, you hear about how expensive college is and that you're going to need scholarships. And then you get to college and everyone's laughing about how much debt they have and stuff because you're living in the moment, right? You're there, you're not really worried about it. It seems 4 years away. I don't think anybody actually ever coaches you unless you go out and seek it. No one's ever coaching on how crucial it actually is. And so in my situation, like I said, I'm able to create my own income, and I'm blessed because I wasn't one of the students who ended up with crippling debt. I talk to my little brother a lot now. He's in high school and he worries about these things because he's seen it up close. I'm the first brother of his to wind up in college. And I try to tell him, like, look, there's a difference between debt and crippling debt. I escaped. I'm going to be able to pay my stuff back. I'm good. I'm already on a plan to do that. I'm going to have that figured out and paid off. That's good. But a lot of people, I think, don't even understand what they're actually getting themselves into when they go to college. And then they're in debt until they're like, for most of their life. There's always going to be a bill that they're going to have to pay. And I think that is not stressed enough at all to people that are young. It's just a joke up until you're ready to deal with it. It just seems like a joke. So I've just been trying to give y'all some real world examples of the type of things I've seen, the type of things I experience now that I'm kind of out here. The other thing I would say is educate yourself about money. There's plenty of books out there. There's plenty of information. We live in the age of the internet. Educate yourself about money, because there's certain things I look back on now, like when I first got money, when I first started to get paid at all, and some of the things that I wanted to do and some of the things that I did do, I kind of look back and I'm like, wow, like I really needed some advice there, but I'm okay. But the reason I say educate yourself is because the other trap that people get into, and this goes to something someone actually replied with on Instagram, they said more money means more responsibilities and more problems. That's the reason you educate yourself about it, because the other way that people trap themselves, say they maybe started middle class, so they didn't start in a place where they were kind of maybe doomed from the beginning, or likely doomed from the beginning. Say they had a good start, but if someone is not educated about money, all they really look at is, okay, how much money am I going to make from what I'm doing? Then what can I go get with it? That's what people do. And the more money that somebody makes, the more money they're going to be enticed to go spend. The more they go spend, the more they're going to have to make. And you see how that's really has the makings of the rat race from Rich Dad Poor Dad. That is a book that I would recommend you read. Rich Dad Poor Dad, that is a great book. But people will not think about that. They just want more money so they can live better. And then because of living better, they end up needing more money. So then they have to work more. Next thing you know, you're just working your life away. So in that instance right there, money isn't really buying happiness. Money is actually making somebody miserable then. Because that's a cycle that a lot of people are in, and they might not even know it. Maybe it's just never been pointed out to them. So then there's another situation, and I'm not going to say too much about my personal life because I'm not putting people out there and all that, but I will say, you know, I think it was like a year and a half ago, and Charles Barkley said something like being rich, I don't think he called it overrated, but he was just pointing out how it's not what people think because it ruins all your relationships. What I will say to that is, I think rich people sometimes kind of simplify. They say it too simple and it comes off as they're just rich and they're ungrateful. I think they don't elaborate enough. I'm not rich myself, just in case you're wondering. I'm not speaking from Charles Barkley's perspective, but I am speaking from the perspective of somebody who's been the only one in their circle with any kind of money at all. And that's not a good situation to be in at all. That's where things like resentment start to come in. That's where you start to question motives. You start to question a lot when you're in that situation. And that's another situation where I would say, yeah, okay, maybe money is not everything, because I could see how, like I said, I'm not rich, but I could see how if I was, I could definitely see how that might be a thing where you start to lose some connections around you that were very important to you. So yeah, in short, I could understand the terms money isn't everything or that it doesn't buy happiness. But the thing that I would say to you, if you're or you never thought about finances or you're young, I would say don't live by that as a code. Care about other things than money, obviously, there's more to life than that, but do not get complacent with that as a code, because as a young adult who's seeing like cost pop up and what life is really about out here, the thing that I always say is math only works one way. You gotta eat out here, you gotta live, you gotta survive, and math is a one-way street. So maybe it's not everything to you, maybe it won't buy happiness, but educate yourself about money, and do that from a young age, like as young as possible. When you start thinking about money, educate yourself about it first, because if you ever run into a situation where you get some, it would help to know some things about it so you can just set yourself up in the future. And at the end of the day, it may not be everything from a technical standpoint, but it will affect every single part of your life. If you're trying to like enjoy your 20s but you have crippling college debt, there's going to be some decisions you have to make there. There's simple things like family that lives in a different part of the country. Maybe you wish you saw them more. That's going to depend on how much money y'all have, because traveling is a cost. Maybe you want your body to look a certain way. Trash food is very inexpensive and very easy to get. Money will make it significantly easier for you to eat healthier. Depending on how you're getting money, you might have more time so you can actually focus on your body. You see where I'm going with this? Maybe it can't buy happiness, maybe it is not a magic bullet, but it's going to affect everything, trust me. Everything in your life is going to affect. So anyways, now I'm going to read what some of you said on Instagram, and you can follow me there too, because I'll probably share some of these responses later. And I'm probably not going to elaborate that much because a lot of this is just you guys' thoughts. So you have, money can give you temporary peace of mind, but it doesn't bring happiness, not long term anyway. Happiness is subjective. If your happiness is having many material possessions, it's true. That has some truth to it, by the way, but remember that money is not just about your material possessions. Think in terms of like healthcare. People legitimately die because they can't afford it, so bullshit, money solves almost everything. Happiness is just about how you interpret life. It has nothing to do with money. Having money doesn't make you happy, but not having it will make you sad. Well, possibly. Studies show there is no correlation between happiness and money once income is $70K and above. You know, that is so interesting because my college professor said that exact same thing 2 years ago, and I will be happy to report the results in another year. Everyone always wants more. No matter what, there is always going to be something better. You know, I can tell you that that's not really wrong because I can think back, like I've been doing this for years now, so I can think back like when my bank account looked a certain way and I was like, man, I'd be really happy if it was like this. Then you get there and then you're still like, man, okay, now I want to get here. Maybe this is a never-ending race and maybe that's why rich people cheat so much on the taxes. I never understand, like, if you're just rich, why not just pay the taxes? But who knows, maybe that is something that just lasts forever with money. That's one I don't have the answers to. Money can open doors that could lead to happiness, but not necessarily buy it. And there you go. That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I think that's all I'm going to read from Instagram. If you want to see some of the other responses, follow my Instagram in the comment section and the description. The links are there. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Money is a very deep topic, so maybe I'll do another commentary because I had some thoughts that kind of went away that I would have liked to put in this video, but I don't want it to run too long, so maybe I will do another. Anyways, hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications on future vids. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.